everyone, Nicole Moss, co-founder of Moss Consulting. I'm here with Nicole Lelli today, who is another fellow entrepreneur in Easton Park, to talk about her background and her business. So, Nicole, you have quite the diverse background and have done many, many things. Do you want to just start by introducing yourself and talking about what you've done, and then maybe introduce your business to us?
I would love that. I'm Nicole Lelli. I am the owner of Beck and Bridal. It's a wedding concierge service. I started out in hospitality at the age of 14, working in water and ice, and then just slowly worked my way through events and food and beverage management, kind of climbing the ladder through hotels and private country clubs. And I came up with Beck and Bridal actually, it was a service for my executive administrative business. And I just kept getting all of these this feedback from all of my friends about, oh, I wish I would have had this, or I wish I had had more help, or I wish I would have thought about this or hired this person. And so Beck and Bridal wedding concierge services came into play in January. So you just think of me as a personal assistant for the day of your wedding and leading up to it.
Awesome. Weddings are so stressful, and I think that most brides think that they can do it all and probably want to do it all, and then you're in it and you can't. So talk about what brought you from the personal assisting that you were just super successful at, to saying, hey, I can turn this into a business about weddings and bridal showers, parties.
Yeah, so like I said, we had so many friends that got married over the last couple years, and a lot of the feedback that I got was from grooms like, oh, I had to help my bride the whole day and help the family and the girls, or, someone needed their dress steamed and they're like, oh, one of my bridesmaids had to do it and her hair got messed up. And I had all these errands and projects leading up to my wedding that was just so stressful. So I was like, you know what? I have 10 plus years in wedding experience, event planning, food and beverage. I have my PMP certification. I did private country clubs and planning and events for so many years. I have my bachelor's in hospitality and tourism, and I also have a culinary degree. So going back into the industry was so easy, and being able to bring that knowledge and understanding how events work and behind the scenes, I was like, this is a no-brainer. Plus, with already being an assistant, I mean, being able to think ahead and strategize and what's going to be coming up and what to expect that people don't know because they aren't experienced.
Right.
And then you delegate to your family and friends, but they want to enjoy the day too, and you want to enjoy the day with them. So I thought, why not create this personal assistant business that's focusing on the bride and groom the day of. People, I don't think they don't understand that, oh, it's just a small wedding, but leading up to it, those small weddings are usually the DIY bride. So then they have a million projects that they have to do leading up. And so they're stressing out. How am I going to get this finished? Right. I have to work. I have to do this and that. I have kids. I have a home, whatever it is. I have people flying into town. I have a lot of upgrades. So whether that's picking people up from the airport or adding additional weeks leading up. I start with 2 weeks prior. I start helping with errands or DIY projects, but you can add on weeks to that. So I have a lot of different options to accommodate, but every bride is my target.
That's
or that,
awesome.
The mother of the bride that just doesn't want to do anything.
Yeah, that's amazing. Who would be your target bride or client? Are you like the bride's assistant, or do you do kind of the couple together?
I mean, let's be honest. I'm the bride's assistant,
right.
But I do assist the men. The men just don't, they start later in the day. They're not starting
right.
at 8 a.m. getting their hair and makeup done. They're rolling in at noon.
Right.
But men don't know how to steam. So that's where I'm very good at assisting. Also, little things that the grooms don't think about, right? I got to feed my groomsmen. How are we transporting everything over from the Airbnb or the hotel or their homes, which is something that I can do. So, but the bride, she needs it. And it's a lot of things that she doesn't think of, whether it's pouring mimosas or keeping the suite clean for the photos. You don't want trash and clothes and things all over the place. So those are things that I'm behind the scenes taking care of. I'm touching up the dresses. I'm transporting everything when it's time. I'm picking up the platters that they need to snack on while they're getting ready. So nobody has to lift a finger but me. And if I do need to run an errand, I always have a second assistant with me. Someone is always there. And then based on the size of the wedding, I will bring additional help.
Nice. Awesome. So Nicole, when we were planning our wedding and it was like the 2 weeks before the big day, that's when like all the things were happening at one time and they all had to be done at the same time and they were all kind of expensive and it was just a lot. And we didn't have anyone to help us. And so it was just kind of you're running around. And I remember looking online as like, okay, so is this a wedding planner? Is this an event planner? Is this like what's the difference and where do you fall in those categories?
So I'm so glad you asked that because I think that's been the hardest thing to convey to people is why you need to spend a few extra $100 on me. I have a coordinator, I have a wedding planner. So a lot of brides will plan the wedding themselves, which is why they're so stressed out. But I would say 99.9% of the venues require a day of coordinator. So usually the wedding planner will act as the wedding planner leading up and the day of coordinator, or you can hire just a day of coordinator. So your wedding planner and your day of coordinator, they're focusing on bringing your vision to life. So they are coordinating the timelines, they're coordinating the vendors, making sure the vendors are coming in, the photographers, the floral, the bar, the whatever, but depending on the venue, whether it's all inclusive or not. They're organizing all of that. They're making sure the tablecloths are set, the flowers are perfect, the silverware. So all of that, the visuals, the decor, what everybody's been planning for, the year or so leading up to it. The day of coordinator is basically going to do the same thing. So they didn't really plan everything, but they're coming in, they're helping coordinate the ceremony and making sure the vision is brought to life.
Okay.
They're not checking on the bride and groom as much as I'm sure they would like to. And that's where I come into play. I don't leave the bride and groom side. I am there to the flower girl. We don't have a pacifier for the flower girl. I'm going to go run out and get one. I'm going to be pouring drinks. I'm going to be transporting things from one venue to the next. So I'm really dedicated to the client and being their personal assistant for whatever that might come up. And I think that's just that. Well, that is the difference between all of the three different coordinators.
So you would still have a planner and a coordinator. You are the next,
Yes.
like the elevated step
Yes.
to that for the day
So
of.
I complement your planner and or coordinator for the day. But I'm not working with them. They're not the ones that are asking me to do things. I strictly am hired by the client, the bride and groom, and I stay focused on them. So, one of my biggest pieces of advice to the bride and groom is always to take some time for yourselves, take a minute, eat some snacks, have dinner together, just take whatever you can. And I always love to shoo them up to one of the bridal suites and I bring them some of that hors d'oeuvres and a cocktail and just allow them to really have some time together. So that's something that I always recommend, but no one else is doing that for them. So again, it's just thinking about those little details and coordinating those and then, just focusing on what they need.
There are so many emotions and so many expectations and nerves going into a wedding. And so you are kind of the person who's going to that's going to all go on to, I'm sure.
Yep.
The good, the bad, and the ugly of that day.
Bring it on.
Yeah. What has been one of the most, maybe your favorite or a wedding that has stood out that you like to talk about?
I just did a wedding in February and just the humbling nature of everybody for getting my help. I mean, everybody was just so grateful and so nice. But I did run my booty off, but it was really good. It was a great way to just really get me used to things and have things fly at me for boundaries to learn so that now I can prep myself better for all of my weddings that are coming up. So I think my favorite part was, like I had mentioned earlier, was giving the bride and groom a moment to sit together, bringing them drinks, bringing them food. I mean, she complimented me so much after that. I think it's just them being so grateful and not realizing they needed it until they realized it. And I don't know. It was just really fun just how helpful I was to them. So it was probably one of my favorites recently.
Awesome. I would imagine if you could put on a wedding, that's like the greatest event. Do you do other events where you're assisting the same day of as well?
Oh yeah, everything. Kids' birthday parties, baby showers, bachelorette parties. I mean, any type of event that anybody needs help with. I mean, you've got your busy moms trying to throw, plan from the beginning and be there and run it and host. I mean, I think the biggest thing that people forget is how much time goes into just the day of the cleanup, the straightening up, the taking out the trash, the filling people's glasses, the keeping the platters full. So anything. And I have extensive corporate background as well. So any type of event I can be there the day of and help or prior, whatever is needed.
What is the best way for people to reach out to you?
I have an Instagram, so it's at Beck and Bridal on Instagram. Also, beckandbridal.com. Nicole at beckandbridal.com. You can't miss me, I don't think, at this point.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great.